If I have to answer to the question, why are you doing that? Why are you walking on foot? I actually don't have a good answer. My name is Dario, I'm a photographer and I walk on foot. I started 20 years ago because some friends were coming back from the Camino de Santiago, and then I got introduced to Werner Herzog, who made this amazing trip from Munich to Paris to meet a friend in the 70s. And later on, I started reading about Beach Generation, Kerouac, Burroughs, which are not related with walking on foot, but they really inspired me in terms of traveling and being curious about life. So is what I did. And when I started, I made it all wrong. Wrong shoes, the wrong attitude, the wrong packing. Like everything was completely random. And because of that, I made a lot of mistakes. I started over. I made these short trips, and then I even gave up for a while. Although I always travel and I always walk a lot, but traveling is very different from traveling on foot and solo camping in the wild. Lately, I went back to this practice first in Australia and Tasmania, and last summer I did 560 kilometers on Shetland Island, north of Scotland. And I'm going to embark in a new adventure soon in Norway, where I'm trying to get to 700, 1000 kilometers. I'm still not sure about it. But these videos are not related to traveling in terms of telling you what to do and how to do it. It's not a practical video, although I might do another one more about the logistic of traveling. I'm not trying to convince you to do the same. I think that traveling is very personal, and everyone is trying to give you advices how to do it at the best. I think they should be honest to say it's the best of their experience. So it is more about an idea how introduce you to the practice of walking on foot and what does it means to me. It's very personal, and people know me. They know that I take things very personal, and this is how I'm doing it. So walking on foot is something that is in some way exhausting, boring, and also very long. Days are long, weather is horrible sometimes, you have to walk a lot, but the practice is about resilience, how you want to approach things and how long you're willing to walk, and what does it mean also to give up, because it also happened that you decide to make another choice or making another going for another direction, and it's okay. There is no reward in these kind of trips, and there is no good and bad. It's an attitude that you have to create for yourself. To be honest, I went back to walking on foot because of a personal decisions that I had to make in life, and because of that I need my space. And walking on foot is a personal space. Some people meditate, some people go to silent retreats, people try to get as fit as possible, people do yoga, and people have any kind of way to deal with practical choices in life by creating space for themselves. And walking is my space. Most of the decisions I made, they come from walking on foot. And this is because in solitude, and because you need to put one step after another, you have time. And this is the only thing you're not missing is time. We think we're wasting time. We think we don't have enough. We try to run. When you travel, for example, you want to see as many possible things in the shortest time because you're scared that time you will lose this opportunity. When you travel on foot solo, it is a bit different because you know from the beginning that you will have plenty of time. So even when we are talking about topics and what is going in your mind, there are no excuses for waiting some conversations that you need to have with yourself. And this is about how good you are in let it go. I'm recently reading some books about this, and so some of the thoughts might be a bit unbalanced on what I'm reading. But it's true that we start walking from day one, but walking as a philosophical meditation way is starting maybe with the Greek, and maybe in recent times in the 18th century, more romantic way of seeing nature and seeing how we fit in this context. One of the things that I learned by walking on foot for sure is that we don't belong to nature. We passing through nature in the sense of we pretend that we know nature. But nature, as my good friend Werner Moron taught me, nature exists without us. It doesn't matter. When we are willing to sacrifice our world and nature, we don't expect nature to be without us. But the reality is that if we disappear, nature will be there anyway, in a different form. And this is what we're trying to preserve, is the form of nature we know. And this is why now we're fighting for this planet in sense of making the best effort. But the reality is when you walk on foot and you walk in the jungle or in the desert, or doesn't matter where you walk, you really truly understand that this world exists without us. And this is very scary on one side, but on the other side, when you get peace with that, you start understanding that it's very natural and you can just fit in. You can just find your way inside it and you just embrace it. So walking on foot in the end is a journey that you do with yourself, avoiding all the possible noise that the society is creating, physical noise and all the distractions that you have. It is why sometimes having a conversation with yourself it's easier in the wild, because there is nothing distracting you from what you need to do. And the first step is to embrace the fact that you will have to wake up every day, no matter the weather, collect your stuff, and know that you will have to walk 24, 30, 35 kilometers. This is up to you. It depends on how fit you are and what you want to achieve. And this process is going on every day. It is not about waking up one day and doing 50 kilometers that you could do. You can do it. But the problem is to wake up the day after. And this is always the most hard choice, knowing that no matter your mood, no matter the weather, no matter if it's raining, windy, and no matter if you're tired, there is the same routine looking and waiting for you. And the first weeks are hard because we have to create a space for this routine. We destroy the routine that we come from the society, and then we have to create a new routine for your body and your soul. And I don't deny that it's tough. I swear a lot. I'm not really. I might say that the first weeks I'm very grumpy, and this is because your body has to get used to it. So it's not the perfect world, and it's not pretend to be nice. But this is the point: is when we watch videos of other people doing things or traveling, we always imagine that is a Hollywood movie. Everything is cool. Everything is very nice to watch, and it's true. Nature is nice, but it's also unpleasant. It's overwhelming, and you need to get yourself in that situation to understand. It is why most of the videos that for me are more impact are the videos where you really see the people struggling to get somewhere. Obviously, there is always a cinematography out of it. It's like there is always like the idea to create it, the tension of it. But it's fair because people doing it, they can't really produce for you the feeling of what they are going through without creating a bit of dramatic engagement. So what is happening is that no matter what you try to achieve, you will get through the point that you want to tell the others how do you get there. And dramatization is something that is really helping somehow. When you walk on foot, there is a deal that you start doing with yourself, and it's about the fact that you are alone. You can sing, cry, laugh, jumping from one memory to another. A bit as I was reading this week about in a book that is a bit like James Joyce. It is about jumping from one topic to another, going back to the same topic, trying to solve things, or as some people say, you don't solve anything because you're alone, but at least you get used to thinking about what happened in your life and what kind of problems you want to talk about with yourself, and you accept them. You try to get the best out of it while walking. And there is a repetitive thing coming out from walking, which is put one step after another for very long and every day. And this repetition is the same of trance. Sometimes I remember that I completely lose control on my thoughts, that I meet myself 10 kilometers after, and I don't know how long it took and what happened in between. Sometimes I even lost concentration by watching what is happening outside of me. It's nature, it's the street, it's the woods, or a cliff. There are places, especially long walks, when you know that the street will be the same for very long, that you can really get lost and completely get absorbed by thinking about what is really happening to you and your life. When you really reappear on the other side, maybe because you're thirsty, or because you're hungry, or because something specific is happening on the road. So what is happening is that you really get in a trance space where you can try to accommodate all the thoughts that you have. And depending on you and your story, might happen at a certain point those thoughts will just stop. After 2 or 3 weeks of walking, if you've been sincere with yourself, what will happen is that you will just stop thinking. And this is very nice and scary. Nice to the point that is what meditation is about, if we think about the Asian version of it. And on the other side is scary because the idea to being already alone, it is for some people threatened. And if you are alone and you don't have topics for yourself, it becomes like very a strong noise in your head. But you will get through it. There are a lot of things that happen during a trip on foot that you have to deal with. And I'm not a really big fan of going uphill. I do it. I've done it in China now on some holy mountains. And I walked for 7 kilometers uphill on stairs. I hate stairs really a lot. I have some videos where I'm swearing a lot. in China, and but I'm not really big fan of going up and thinking that the top of the mountain is my reward. I don't believe in this rewarding technique because means that if you stop a half of it, you fail, or that you are in half of it, you are still have half of the way to go up. It is very simple to think about that there is a point on top of everything that you will be rewarded by a view, a waterfall, or whatever it is happening. When you walk solo and on the street, there are thousands of small rewards maybe, but there is not really a big one at the end of the road. Although you might think, okay, you did 500 kilometers, the 500-kilometer point is where you get your reward. I like to tell stories. I walk for myself, and also there is a part of me that like the idea to come back, go back home, and to tell a story. And it's not flexing about what you did, it's more about the opportunity to create space for a better you in the society when you go back. Being alone for some people is scary. Some people are threatened by being alone, and I respect that. The reality for me is that being alone in the wild allow me to regain energies to go back to society and spend those energies in a better way. Society is for me overwhelming by the routine that force you to have. So breaking this cycle helps me to go back to my normal life more focused and with more energies. And this is a benefit for myself, but also for the people around me.